Welcome to Blood and Business.
I'm Bethany.
And I'm Cassie. Today we're taking a deep dive into a family riddled with carnage and controversy. Every player involved has blood on their hands, yet there is no doubt they are America's royal family. You may love them, you may despise them. They are the Kardashians. Okay, so last episode we left off and we were talking about how after college, Kourtney opened Smooch with her mom. Kim was doing her like styling business. She was organizing closets and working with like celebrity clients. And then Khloe was working for their dad, and then she had like a personal assistant job. And then they all three started a clothing store together called Dash, which I'm sure most of you have heard of. And so we're going to pick up kind of right there in that time frame, but we're going to go individually into the sisters' lives and kind of see what was going on around Dash. So let's start with Kim. Remember, she's the one who already has like her own personal business stuff going on outside of the sisters. Even before Dash, she was already like doing her own entrepreneurship stuff. So Kimberly Noelle Kardashian, never doing anything quietly or boring, secretly marries Damon Thomas in January of 2000 at 20 years old.
Does everyone know this?
I
had no idea.
Her family had no idea. Her family found out after Kourtney heard a rumor from a friend, and then she got on the internet, looked it up, found their Las Vegas marriage certificate, and then emailed it to Kris. And that is how Kris found out that her daughter was married.
I'd be pissed.
Oh, and this is also the kind of stuff that like makes me think, okay, maybe she didn't just marry Kris Humphries like just for a publicity stunt.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's so true.
If she was doing this stuff before she was famous,
maybe she's just a hopeless romantic.
She is.
Or just like doesn't pick the best person for her.
Right.
Because divorce number 3 is currently happening.
That's true. Oh, and by the way, if you don't know who Kris Humphries is, they were literally married for 72 days. And so everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's just a publicity stunt, whatever. But like we said, if she was been this way this whole time.
They do everything for publicity. And honestly, like, you know how YouTubers are like, oh, we'll do it for content. Like, it's just.
Yeah. And you remember in 2013 when we were all like, do it for the gram.
Yeah, do it for the gram. Exactly. So like maybe just growing up in like a flashy climate, you just were more apt to do things.
This one, Damon Thomas, who is he even? Maybe we weren't old
think
enough to like
wasn't
know
he a rapper
stuff.
Or something?
That's her other one. That's
her other boy.
That's Mr. Sex Tape.
Okay, that's who I'm thinking of.
By the way, this is 7 years before the show started, before Keeping Up with Kardashians. Oh, and you know what? Okay, you are a little bit correct because Damon was a decently successful music producer in LA. It's been a couple months since I wrote these scripts, so I tend to forget what's going on.
Also, maybe she was trying to be like her mom and MJ. Both of them kind of like married someone to not necessarily mooch off of, but like get in on the
We didn't go
fame.
into that.
MJ married like just
I don't know, some like kind of like upper business guy. I don't know.
Kind of like a sugar daddy situation.
And then
Kris married
Robert Kardashian because he was like a super well connected lawyer, and he was obviously more wealthy than they were too. And MJ, the sister's grandma, Kris's mom, was like very, very encouraging of her to like marry him because of his connections and his status.
Position, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Kris was young. Like her mom bred her to like know about socialite culture kind of so that she would be able to fit in.
They definitely were always trying to, because she was raised by MJ and MJ was single. So, and for like a long time until Kris was like 15 or something like that. And then they moved in with that guy. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
We're butchering this. But anyways, basically.
If you know the story, come tell us on Instagram or YouTube or something.
Yeah. Basically, it was prioritized like marrying to up your status in
Yeah.
society, kind of.
So like we said, Damon was a decently successful music producer in LA. At the time they were together, he was friends with Justin Timberlake, and he got in a fight with Dr. Dre at a party once. So I think you might be right, Beth.
So he was famous in their
Yeah.
boat, especially for them, because like they
Weren't
literally
famous.
were not famous.
Yeah. So it was definitely like some networking there. The marriage was a pretty tumultuous one. Kim said that he was incredibly controlling, and he actually made her quit her retail job so that her exes wouldn't know how to contact her. And Damon began physically abusing her just a few months into their marriage.
Yikes.
She ended up divorcing him in 2004, but in 2003, after they separated, but before the divorce was officially official, Kim needed to get away from her troubles, and she booked a trip to Cabo with a certain boyfriend to celebrate her 23rd birthday.
So literally she is her mother.
She might be Kris Jenner.
Because Kris was literally already with Bruce before the divorce was final and had a third dude on the side.
Technically, Bruce was the third dude.
Yeah, that's true.
Good grief. Okay, so a certain sex tape was filmed that week that would impact her future immensely. And I'm sure that you all know what we're talking about. But Ray J, who is the certain boyfriend who filmed the certain tape, was a handsome young rapper from the same hometown as Britney Spears, is also the brother of the 2000s R&B artist Brandy, and is actually Snoop Dogg's cousin.
Side note, I just saw a commercial with Snoop Dogg in it, and I'm like, wow, what a long-lasting career. He is
actually a legend. He's so good.
Iconic.
So the connections are endless, and Macomb, Mississippi, where Ray J, Britney, Brandy, and Snoop are all from, is apparently the most star-studded place you've never heard of.
You've literally never heard of.
That same year, Kim's good friend, Paris Hilton, signed with Fox Television to star in a new reality show called The Simple Life, and Kim even appeared on an episode. The show was scheduled to premiere in December, and the idea was to take two socialites, Nicole Richie being the other. Fun fact, Paris Hilton's sister was actually supposed to star in the show with her, and then she didn't want to do it last minute, and so Nicole jumped in.
Wow, nice.
Right place, right time.
Yeah.
And that show was going to put them on a working farm in Arkansas, and they were going to like live a life that they had never experienced before. Oh my gosh, these girls have never worked. It's crazy. Coincidentally, on November 5th, a mere month before the show airs, Page 6, the gossip column in the New York Post, revealed that there was an explicit sex tape involving Hilton floating around. Apparently, the verbal content is too embarrassing for the sex tape release to have been planned. I haven't heard it, so I don't know. It seems a little sus.
Seems a little convenient.
It seems convenient. And it sounds familiar, huh?
Very familiar.
So, Kim took notes, I'm assuming, and then did almost exactly what Paris did just 4 years later.
People do not realize how calculated and just desperate is not the right word, but they will do anything for their careers.
Mm-hmm. Nothing is sacred.
And even before fame, like you see in Kris and MJ's life, that they would compromise a lot of things that other people are not willing, or like go through embarrassment or whatever, just to further their social, like just to climb the social ladder in a sense, or to live a higher class life.
Right.
Like that's their
number one priority, and everything else is expendable.
Yeah. It's like family and their career. And they
or family and even just their like status, because
family and status.
Yeah.
Because they were willing to like marry into it or whatever.
So regardless, I don't know, we're not sure, but I have a hard time believing that either one of the sex tapes was a coincidence. Very mysterious. The thing about the reality show, The Simple Life, though, was that it was for sure anything but real life. Paris hadn't ever worked a day in her life, and she and Nicole, which Nicole is Lionel Richie's adopted daughter, if y'all don't know, but they wouldn't have never been in that situation other than for the show. Like, it was very much like just set up to be on TV. It wasn't like a situation where they just brought cameras into their usual everyday life. Like, that would be super interesting to me. I feel like Paris Hilton, just a trust fund kid, not doing anything special and just see what her life is like. But that's not what the show was. They left their real life and flew across the country to the set of the show, you know? So that was all in 2003. Now it's 2006, and Kim K gets her very first appearance in the tabloids. She was out on a movie date with Nick Lachey. I almost said Lachey. Can you tell that we're too young for this? Like, we do not know these people.
Any of these people are.
So, Nick Lachey, while his divorce from Jessica Simpson was still going through, had like a little short dating moment with Kim. And word on the street is that they went to see the Da Vinci Code one afternoon, and upon walking out of the theater were bombarded with paparazzi. Nick later implied that it was Kim who tipped them off and that these photos sparked her rise to fame. And
everyone knows that everyone calls the paparazzi on themselves.
Oh, yeah. And that's like before they were famous. So even before they were famous, they were connected. They knew what to do. They knew who to call.
Yeah,
you know
they knew
what I mean?
the culture.
Yes. So here's Nick. Let's just say this. We went to a movie. No one followed us there. Somehow, mysteriously, when we left, there were 30 photographers waiting outside. There are certain ways to play this game, and some play it well.
I mean, I think that says it all. And also, Chris could have been the one while they're in the movie.
Right.
Like, they could have just, like, either planned it, or Chris could have just been, like, meddling like crazy moms do.
Right. Kim might have known about it, might not have known about it. But for sure, a Kardashian made a phone call.
Someone called.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been like a concession stand worker or something. But first of all, I feel like if you're working in Hollywood not in Hollywood, but if you're working in LA in an area of town where a bunch of celebrities are all the time,
Bougie,
first of all,
yeah.
you don't care. It like doesn't faze you. Like, what
You're
do you
not
benefit
calling
from
unless
that?
like it's freaking Beyonce.
And like, what do you benefit from that? Like, they gonna pay you? I doubt it.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't know. Even Kim admits that date with Nick was her first taste of being the center of attention. The following night, she went out to Sunset Boulevard with Paris, per usual, but this time the paparazzi were shouting her name instead of her uber famous friends like they normally did. The pornography grapevine was aware of a sex tape involving Kim as early as that winter. However, in an interview with Complex Magazine, she denied any existence of such a tape. There is no sex tape. Ray J's not the kind of guy who would do something for revenge. There is no amount of money that could ever convince me to release any tape, even if I had one. I don't need the money. Kourtney called Kim soon after, though, and confirmed to her that they did, in fact, have it. Kim immediately ran home to Chris, sobbing, and confessed to her mom that she didn't do drugs, but there was a tape. Chris claims that she cried herself to sleep for days after that and had to finally just say, okay, enough is enough. This is happening. What are we going to do about it? At the time, Kim was still just known as Paris Hilton's friend, O.J. Simpson's lawyer's daughter, and Bruce Jenner's stepdaughter. There was a bunch of legal action taken. I don't really want to get into all of that here, but if you're curious, check out the book Kim by Sean Smith for the details. But basically, Kim realized that the tape was going to be released no matter what she did, so she may as well strike a deal and get paid. There's been a lot of speculation around who leaked the tape. Maybe Kim herself, maybe her cunning momager, Chris. Interviews from Vivid, though, the company who owns it, says that no Kardashian Jenners were involved in bringing the tape to them. Some of the rumors I've read imply that maybe it was Kim's co-star in the tape, Ray J, who leaked it. Friends of his have hinted that he was hoping it would gain him just a bit more notoriety. I mean, your sister is an R&B superstar, and your cousin is Snoop Dogg. So I can see it. I don't think it did for him what he thought it would do, though, and certainly not what it ended up doing for Kim. But the world may never know. So let's look at what Kourtney was doing during all of this. Remember that reality show that I mentioned that she did before Keeping Up with the Kardashians?
Yeah, the one on the farm?
Yes. I don't even think it was a farm.
Oh.
Filthy Rich Cattle Drive.
Whatever. Cattle Drive, farm, ranch, whatever.
I think the premise of it was
she's on a ranch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I've seen a clip of it.
Okay.
And she's literally out there wild and
Okay.
Yeah, they're straight up riding horses and crap.
Wow, that is a photo I never needed in my life. Or maybe I always needed it.
Look, yeah, here she is.
Okay, so she was running Smooch, and in 2005 filmed the show Filthy Rich Cattle Drive with E. Smooch was started in 2003. This is 2 years later, and it was a blatant ripoff of Fox Network's The Simple Life with Paris and Nicole. And get this, Kim was actually supposed to be the one that was in the show. She appears in a trailer for it asking, "Are there showers there?" So I have actually no idea why Kourtney ended up going instead of Kim. Maybe it was because Kim was already starting to get some publicity. I have no idea. But when the show actually started filming, it was Kourtney who set off with 9 other rich kids to experience life without the luxuries they were accustomed to. And it was reality show freaking mania in their friend group. I have no idea how you can have so many reality shows filmed with people that you know in your real life. You know what I mean?
Know.
Listen to this. Around this same time as well, the Kardashians' stepbrother Brody was on The Hills. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And then he and his brother Brandon, their stepbrothers, were co-stars of The Princes of Malibu, a reality show, yes, that aired in 2005. And the premise was that their mom spoiled them and expected like little out of them. And then their stepdad, music producer and executive David Foster, he's super famous, wanted them to grow up and get jobs. And so like that was the premise.
What?
Yes.
I had no idea. Like I knew Brody was in The Hills.
Right.
But that's it. I didn't know that they had this extra one. And yeah, it's like all in the same freaking year.
The same year, the same family, like the same friend group.
Like they were famous before they were famous almost.
Yes. They ran with famous people. And maybe that's like why being famous was so important to them, you know?
Maybe.
Yeah, so this is just not the world that we grew up in. But out of all of those shows, the networks were still lacking something. The others either didn't do that well, Princess of Malibu.
Yeah, who has ever heard of that?
Or they were hugely popular, The Hills, but people could tell that they were super scripted and they cast people as the villain, the good girl, the whatever, the best friend. And they were like obviously not reality shows at all. So they were still looking for that perfect premise with the perfect cast. Maybe a show that could do, 20 seasons.
Honestly, crazy when you think about it.
20 seasons. Enter 2007. I mentioned earlier that in the girls' book, Kardashian Confidential, the sisters claim that it was Kathy Lee Gifford who had the idea for the show, and then Kris rang up Ryan Seacrest, Well, Kris has been quoted saying that the casting director, Dina Katz, should be credited for the idea, and conspiracy theorists believed that E picked up the show based on Kim's popular tape that had just been released. Television experts say that the network would never have placed a bet on an untried TV show when they didn't know yet like how the public would take Kim's tape. So I don't really know how the show actually came about. There's like 50 stories. I'm like, this is not
that complicated.
The 1800s.
Yeah.
There were records. Everyone is
Documentation.
still alive. Why
ask.
do we not know?
Yeah.
With the sex tape, like I doubt that they picked up the show because of the sex tape, because I feel like that.
Yeah, that's just too random. Like, who cares?
It was too random. But if they already had a show in the works and the sex tape was like ready to be released or like available to be released, like I could definitely see that as like a marketing thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, the chicken or the egg, which came first? I don't know. It's all just circumstantial evidence. Am I right, crime junkies? So that brings up a great point. The Kardashians stepped in right there in the perfect time, in culture, in space and time, in the midst of all of the mystery and the smoke and mirrors, and gave the people what they were craving. What they had been teased, but they still didn't have. A true behind-the-scenes look that they had been denied by the media thus far. When Keeping Up with the Kardashians first aired, guess who took it very seriously?
Kim.
That's
And
right.
Kris.
Oh my gosh! The twins! Kris and Kim. They really wanted it to do well. Kourtney and Khloe viewed it more as advertising for their main thing, Dash.
That, pause. You have to pause because that is hilarious. They were going to use Keeping Up with the Kardashians
to advertise their local boutique.
People to Dash. How the turntables. Honestly, comedy.
Their main thing
is Dash.
Again, similar work views that they still have to this day. Kourtney commented about Kim around that time, and she said she's dating her work. She and Khloe allegedly would always goof around the second the boss would leave the room. Kim was all business. By the way, the boss was Kim. She took every opportunity that came her way from the beginning, like no matter what. She was in a Fall Out Boy music video starring alongside actual real-life monkeys. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I watched it. It's something. She was also nominated for Worst Actress for her role in Disaster Movie. She appeared in an episode of CSI New York. She did Playboy. She did Dancing with the Stars. She even had a series of Carl's Jr. commercials on social media beginning all the way back in 2009.
What? Isn't that that's pre-Instagram?
I think so. I think it was on Twitter. Isn't that crazy? So they are the original influencers.
Literally with sponsored ads and everything. Like before anyone knew what sponsorships or sponsorship contracts where you're continually doing the same.
Kim did it first.
That's crazy. Yeah, because when I was in high school, starting high school in 2010, 2011, that was Instagram literally just came out. None of my friends had it.
Yeah, we were the only ones who had it. We lived in a really small town.
Yeah, and we were convincing everyone to download it.
We were YouTube kids. Obsessed.
I think that's the only reason we knew about it was because
we had feathers in our hair. Oh, the best freaking one, you guys. I have no idea how I didn't know about this. Everyone needs to know about this. But Kim Kardashian has a freaking pop song. Go look up Kim Kardashian Jam, Turn It Up on YouTube. Stop. And you will understand why it did not do well.
The start of her career is reminding me of Jeffree Star's hustle. MySpace days.
Yeah.
Trying to get famous, doing basically anything.
She was literally going to work however long it took, doing whatever.
Yeah, she was going to even without her mom, she was going to be famous, no matter if it was a flash in the pan fame or what, but she was going to get there.
Exactly. So a little callback to the first episode, Khloe. What are you saying? You didn't try to get famous. Maybe you didn't, but your sister was out there ready to go. And she even said, she didn't say, I didn't try to get famous. She literally said, we weren't trying to be anyway.
She's literally out there, doing sponsored ads, doing a pop song, literally trying to do anything.
Was in the Disaster Movie. She was in a Fall Out Boy music video. So she's an admittingly talentless actress, and I definitely would love it if we never got another pop song from her again. But companies still loved working with her. Apparently she isn't those quintessential teeny bopper brats who are horrible to work with and always late and super entitled.
Diva.
Yes. Everyone else her age, Paris Hilton, Lindsay Lohan, that's the vibe, but not Kim.
Diva. Name that movie.
Exactly. So she hung out with those people, but she had more to gain than that. They were already rich and famous. Kim is apparently punctual, pleasant, and a thorough worker. She also became the face for Fusion Beauty. She is literally the original influencer. All three Kardashian sisters signed a retail deal for their own lines with BB, Beach Bunny Swimwear, and a self-tanning gel called Glamour Tan. All the way back in 2009, before Instagram was even an app, like you said.
You know for sure?
I definitely looked up to see if it was after Instagram or before Instagram, and I remember it was definitely pre-IG.
October 2010, first launched.
Bam.
Wow, did you just see me pull that out of my butt?
Did you? Honestly, you did just pull that out of your butt.
2010, 2011 maybe. It was like closer
On
to
the
end
cusp of 2011. Wow. Look at you.
my high
So-
school memory serves me so well.
What do we mean when we say that these girls created the template for the modern day influencer? Different from Jennifer Aniston and an Aveeno commercial on TV, the Kardashian sisters were of the very first to ever rep a company or sell products for a brand on social media. The same place that they were updating their followers on what they were doing, where they were eating, who they were wearing. In the influencer industry, there's a rule of thumb called the 4 E's of social media: engage, empower, educate, and entertain. And this is what is considered needed in order to have a well-rounded personal brand. The Kardashians were serving up the 4 E's before social media influencing had ever been broken down to a science. So for educate, they gave us a behind-the-scenes look at the entertainment industry, PR, how management works, all of that. Their show allowed America to go behind the camera of photo shoots for famous magazines, into the dressing rooms of fittings for New York Fashion Week and the Met Gala, and we even got to listen in on strategy meetings for their businesses. There were also more than a few times we were able to watch Kris go into momager mode and work with public relations agents to clean up disasters, like the time Kim was photographed by a professional artist and promised that there would be no nudity used in print. But what came out in the magazine was, in Kim's words, pornography. The second E, entertain. Do we even need to explain this one? Family fights, drama, divorce, marriage, babies, their lives, our theater. The third E, empower. This family is a giant poster for feminism, the mostly respectful kind. They still respected their father's legacy and talked about him often, and there were always men in the mix, but let's be honest, the ladies run the show.
Run the show.
In Sean Smith's book on Kim, he quoted a Calabasas resident saying, "You don't get anywhere in that family without a vagina. Bruce has realized that."
I mean, drop the mic.
I honestly think that is the
hilarious.
Thing. Shout out to little Calabasas resident.
I don't know if you talk about this, but they also empower curvier girls.
Oh, yeah.
More brown-skinned girls.
Mm-hmm.
Tap into that. Not so blonde, blue-eyed, white.
Exactly.
Gal.
So if you look at like who Kim was hanging out with and like who she was like aspiring to be like, kind of, it's Paris Hilton, Nicole Richie, Lindsay Lohan. These are tiny, 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 tiny girls.
Tiny.
And Kim
low-rise jeans with your freaking hip freaking sockets
bones sticking out. I mean,
Tragic.
I'm sorry, but I never had a chance to wear
look like
low-rise
that.
jeans. Sorry. I'm very grateful for the Kardashians, their bodies, and their style.
And their high-waisted jeans.
And their high-waisted, how they brought back high-waisted. They are also relatable enough for you to see yourself in them. Check. But then they also give you something elevated to aspire to. Check. They are a grossly imperfect family while still being close and having fun. You know what I mean?
They show the kicking and screaming, the crying, the emotional breakdowns.
But it's also not like just such a train wreck that you don't want to be like them. Like you want to still.
They're still like getting it together, ballers.
Yeah. So then the last E, engage. This is the part where the audience becomes involved in whatever content is being posted. Whether fans are voting on Twitter for what color Kim's new perfume bottle should be, or tuning into their show each week, or purchasing one of their products. Without engagement from viewers, you're probably not doing that well with your content, and it can be used as a measure of success. So with how much engagement the Kardashians got from the very beginning, the people were eating it up. They just had to keep providing the goods. This family has mastered this. When you hear their name, what do you think of? Curves, black and nude clothing, massive sunglasses, long hair, big lips, snatched contour. Snatched contour might be the first one. And anytime you see a camel-colored sweatsuit, if you can see us on YouTube, we are wearing our sweatpant Kardashian outfits.
Even nude lipstick. Like, I literally think that they were like the first to
really
switch everyone from pink and red lips to nude and brown.
Vampy lips also had a moment back in like 2008, 2009, 2010 or whatever. And then the Kardashians
took it over.
In making themselves synonymous with items or a style that you would frequently see other places, they are able to be present in your mind, not only when you're watching the show or when you see them on Instagram, but also anytime you come in contact with something that reminds you of them. In the grocery store, at work, while watching the news, the Kardashians get to go with you everywhere. It seems like some weird Jedi mind stuff, but it's actually pretty commonplace in like
marketing psychology.
Exactly. Another example of this is when new artists will put out their first album. They're like not allowed to change their hair or their style until their whole media cycle around that release is completely over and they're prepping for the next release. And a lot of times that's longer than a year. It's several years.
Taylor Swift is the queen of this. I think Katy Perry also does this really well.
When you think of Taylor Swift, OG Taylor Swift, when we had never heard of her before, instantly you're like, big, giant, blonde, frizzy, curly hair,
cowgirl boots and sundresses.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even think I ever saw her hair in a ponytail until the Speak Now tour.
Yeah.
Like 2 albums in.
And it was always curly. And then she did straight hair for Red.
Yes.
And that one freaking hat and like the heart-shaped sunglasses.
Everything was red, white, and black.
And then Reputation is super iconic. Like every single album cycle, she looks completely different, but it's still Taylor Swift. But it's like she lives and breathes in the movie that is her album.
Yep. There are so many people and ads that we see all day, every day. And your brain doesn't even have a chance to like, you're not going to sit there and just look at like, wait, who is that? Mm-hmm. So if you can be so recognizable instantly, the subconscious mind already knows who it is before we can even look around to see a face or a name.
And it's also just like comfortable. Like, like subconsciously, it is a comfort to recognize that.
Even like just normal people that you see, like you meet at, I don't know, school for the first time, if they are wearing different clothes, they have a different hairstyle, they do their makeup completely differently, the first 5 times you see them, you probably are never going to be able to remember their face very well. But if they're always like, she's always got a ponytail, or she's always got winged liner, she's always
in a denim jacket.
Yeah, it just like so much more quickly you're able to remember their face and remember what they look like.
I think that's also why most cartoons, they always have like their iconic outfit. Like Dora, you know exactly. I mean, you could have not ever seen a full episode of Dora and you know exactly what her outfit is.
I can tell you right now. I could draw her
literally.
Right now. Also, ones like Scooby-Doo, like they're all always wearing the same exact outfit. And it helps you remember which character's which because they've got like pretty bright colors and they never overlap colors. Mm-hmm. So like with the Kardashians,
they're so like unified and like those are the Kardashians.
Yes.
Because they all
dress
styles.
very similarly.
Yeah.
Like they all have different style a little bit, but
it's an iconic look that is shared amongst the family, and the family was like the first, which we know from, what was it, the Bouvier one? Mm-hmm. No, it was Disney, where we said, if you're going to do something, either be first.
Yep. Best or different. You have to.
And the Kardashians were all.
Consistency also helps us know, like we said, what we're looking at. And if you know anything about sales technique or the sales industry, the saying is, a confused mind says no. Well, then there must be no confusion. By 2010, Kim brought out her own fragrance, had a luxury line of earrings and watches with Lauren Reidinger. She was also paid up to $100,000 for a single appearance at a nightclub. That year, there were more Google searches for Kim Kardashian than for Justin Bieber or for the President of the United States, Barack Obama. She had the most exciting work life and the most boring personal life of the 3 sisters. Kourtney being the first to be a mom and Khloe the first to actually have a wedding. She gave Kris a measly 9 days to plan a ceremony for her, but at least she gave her that. Kim just went to Vegas.
Didn't even say anything.
So, and you best believe it was all on film for Keeping Up with the Kardashians, including Kourtney giving birth, filmed by none other than Lord Scott Disick. And I don't think I've seen that episode.
I don't either.
So speaking of boys, we need to give a little shout out to the only Kardashian man still around, Rob. He gets a bad rap. And yes, he may not be as hardworking as his sisters, but he does have a sock company, Arthur George, a streetwear line, Halfway Dead, a vanilla cream soda collab with Exotic Pop, and as of October 2020, Rob announced a new business venture called Credenza Hot Sauce, complete with matching brand apparel. So he's paying his bills. He's just a bit of a late bloomer, and honestly, he didn't even ask for this fast-paced lifestyle. He was just kind of...
He gets a break.
Surrounded from all sides, so...
Also, can you imagine trying to freaking follow that lineup?
No. The thing about Keeping Up with the Kardashians that works so well is the sheer amount of people in the dang family. It's kind of like the Ringling Brothers. It's such a huge asset.
Divide and conquer.
Yes. And with the Kardashians, dividing and conquer doesn't mean like do different roles in the business. It means appeal to every person.
That's so true when you're watching the show.
Yeah.
It's like you can assign those personalities to the members of your own family. Like it's very...
It adds to the relatability.
Mm-hmm.
So Kim was the initial superstar, of course, but there is somebody for almost everybody in the Kardashian clan. There's also been Kourtney and Khloe Take Miami. I'm listing their shows now. Kourtney and Kim Take New York. Khloe and Lamar. Kourtney and Khloe Take the Hamptons. Dash Dolls. Cocktails with Khloe. Rob and China. Revenge Body with Khloe. And several one-off specials as well. It's a reality TV dynasty. They also changed so much about how women were expected to look. And Bethany mentioned this earlier, but I want to talk about it more because...
We can never talk too much about this.
Let's freaking go.
Especially for everyone on TikTok. Oh my God, please.
So they really helped curvier girls have a place at the top of the fashion world. This is especially noteworthy when the coveted body type at the time, like we said,
was the size of our freaking pinky finger.
Borderline skeletal. Here is a quote from Kevin O'Sullivan. He's just commenting on their impact on culture. The Kardashians are artistically underrated. This family is not just going in front of cameras and being filmed. They are putting on a performance. There is a dazzling brilliance about the Kardashians. It may be staged and slightly ridiculous, but they are doing it well. They are the first and the best. Bethany!
Wow. Did I just like pop off with that?
She needs to hold back on her freaking interjections because she's taking my script.
But they really are so good at what they do. Like,
yep.
I mean, this is a trend going. I don't know when this is going to be posted, but right now on TikTok, as we film this, there's a trend going around kind of like talking about casual Instagram and how that is even harder than like celebrity Instagram.
Yes.
Where
and even
it's
though
so
we
posed and face-tuned and like perfection is easier because there's a target. With casual Instagram, when you're like not trying, but you're trying so freaking hard and like you're so relatable, but like
because
you're
it's
not.
so hard to look like you're not trying when you are trying.
When you are trying, and it's so hard to look like you're not trying and still look good. Like you can look like you're not trying all day and look gross.
Right.
But to look amazing and to look like, oh my God, I'm just like, I just woke up like this.
Dude, yeah.
They have it down pat, and they had it down pat before we even knew that that's what we wanted. Like everyone knows that now with like when Vine came out, Musically, Instagram, Twitter, like everyone wants the raw, real, whatever. But we didn't know that back then. They were like literally giving us something that we didn't realize we needed.
They are the model.
They deserve. But they deserve what they have.
It's true. It's called capitalism.
It's called capitalism.
If there was this much reward for just simply being born, the 1% of the 1%, an attractive face into a slightly known, very well-off family, there would be many, many more Kardashian families around the world. But it's not. There is talent and a heap of hard work involved. The Kardashians are genius-level business people, and Kim Kardashian is the professional in the center of it all. She also seems to try her best to share her blessings, so I'm not sure why she gets like so much hate from the masses, but I really do love that she's pursuing change within the justice system and the prisons in the U.S. We need it desperately, and if she can help, why wouldn't she? She should.
I know, I kind of think it's ironic that like when celebrities don't use their platform for good, we hate on them, but then when they do, we're like, you're fake. You don't even know what it's like. Come on.
She's also been faithful in giving financially to a slew of charities, was an executive producer of a mental health awareness documentary, and was a familiar face to the patients at the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles for years. Sometimes she was accompanied by a sister or by Kanye or Scott Disick, but oftentimes she just went on her own to visit the kids, and she'd bring like little small gifts like iTunes gift cards or beauty products back in the day. And I know anytime celebrities show generosity, it's seen as just like
A publicity
stunt or like for a tax break. But I tend to believe the best in a lot of people. I think that with her dad's cancer battle and what she did see early on in life, like I feel like she understands the severity of what people go through. And even if it has like some
side perk
benefit, I think she still is a understanding, sympathetic person.
I had a professor once that kind of talked about this, not in terms of celebrities, but just in terms of people in general. It's impossible, it just doesn't exist, doing something kind without any benefit.
Right.
Like, we are all benefiting from doing something kind, whether we can just feel better about ourselves and like look at ourselves as like, oh, I'm such a kind, charitable person.
Or whether those other people will like you better because you did something for them.
Yes, and you're getting a better relationship out of it. Or you just have like you said, like people in the public view you as like a good person.
Yeah.
And it helps your reputation. Whatever it is, like you are benefiting from it. Even if it just makes you feel warm inside, you're benefiting from it. So whatever. I mean, and it is annoying sometimes when you're clearly a bad person and then you just try to do something to like erase
or it's like
bad publicity.
So in your face all the time. Like, stop talking about it.
Yeah,
you know?
Stop telling me about all of the charitable acts that you're doing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think sometimes it's in good taste.
Yeah, like, and also, why shouldn't people do nice things for other people just because, like, if you want to give me an iTunes gift card and it's 2009, I will take it. Like,
exactly.
And also, the other thing is getting a law degree for a publicity stunt. I feel like there's easier things that you could do.
There are definitely easier things.
And with her dad being a lawyer and how much they still talk about him and how, like, they loved him so much and respected him so much. That's like a point of connection to her father.
Sort of makes sense. Yeah, exactly. And for out of touch as she is, because I definitely think that they are very, very out of touch. For the position that they are in, they're still fairly intact. Like,
right.
They could be much worse.
The thing is, I believe that you can be kind and genuinely care in the same hand as you are vain and privileged and out of touch. Money and notoriety don't exempt you from pain or hardships, and we all know that every single class is affected by mental health struggles. You are not exempt if you are rich. So
that's what I have to say about that. Have a little bit. I think that everyone could have a little bit more grace for everyone in every class.
Yeah. You should absolutely, like, tell people how you feel because you experienced it. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean that overall they've had an amazing life and you've had a crappy one.
Right. Like whatever that quote is about, like, you can't
always get what you want.
Not that. About, like, you still have permission to, like, be sad about things even if you're not freaking dying from starvation.
Absolutely. Do not prevent yourself from feeling your real emotions because you don't feel justified. That is also wrong.
Right. Because someone else out there probably has it worse.
There's
For you, in your world, in your real life, it's real.
It's pain.
It's pain.
So this has been the story of the rise of the royal Kardashians. Keeping up with the Kardashians is too hard, too big of a undertaking, but the details of how it all came to be was too mysterious not to be solved, so we had to figure it out. They, in fact, in conclusion, are not just famous for being famous. Success is never as simple as it seems. It's actually a very, very long series of decisions compounded with failures and luck all strung together.
And a question that I've always wondered, is the hate towards the Kardashians justified? By doing just a quick search on the ethics of the Kardashians, because I wanted to know if they had done anything super sketchy or illegal, I found this blog.
Kim Kardashian, along with every other person out there that is famous for no reason, or worse, famous for being a self-destructive moron who glorifies violence against themselves and others, are just people who successfully understood what the public wanted and gave it to them. Indeed, in Kim's case, she leveraged the public's initial interest in her sex tape to build a multifaceted and enduring career that continues to this day and has effectively set her up for life.
She understood the assignment.
And she did it without hurting anyone. If you were offered millions of dollars for just allowing someone to film your life and telling you to be a little dramatic sometimes, would you not take it? And isn't that what everyone and their mom is trying to do on social media right now?
Isn't that the most like coveted career path at the moment? Every freaking 8-year-old is telling everyone that they want to be an influencer.
Yes, the number one like thing that people want to be now whenever they ask them in elementary school is a YouTuber. Not a firefighter anymore. That is
anymore.
So sad.
Nobody wants to be a cop anymore. That's for sure.
The only difference between Sally Joe on Instagram and the Kardashians is the level of success. And people tend to hate what they cannot have. Nothing happens overnight. It may look that way, but overnight success is always just the tip of the iceberg that is sticking out above the water. When you dive below the surface, you will always find that there is much more to the story. And I feel like people also assume that if there was much more to the story, then they would have heard about it.
Clearly not.
Clearly not. I don't know why we have the internet, but I didn't know any of this. So
that was insane.
The main difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is perseverance. They've just tried more things than you have. Kim Kardashian, jam, turn it up. Promise. So if you have a dream, something you're working towards, don't stop. The time will pass anyway. May as well build something crazy. And may as well drag every dang sibling you have along with you. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. And please, please give us a rate and review because we are a baby podcast and it helps us be found by other people who want to hear stories.
Send this to every friend that you have that likes or hates the Kardashians.
And ask them if they learned anything that they didn't know. And also ask them their opinion.
Yeah, if they've changed their opinion.
Yeah.
Is there really anything that crazy to hate about? I mean, honestly, in today's culture, in today's social climate, they could be canceled a million times. But have they really done anything that bad?
No.
Not really.
They have some toxic traits.
They have some toxic traits, have done some sketchy things. Maybe things that make them a little bit of a bad person, but nothing illegal.
Let us know what you think on Instagram, on YouTube, in the comment section. We will see you in our next podcast. Bye.
Bye.